Sheila, yes.
Yeah, pleasure.
We went
I've
so
got
long
this card for you.
And then all of a sudden it hit.
That's for you.
I've been all over.
Do you have a son?
Yes, okay.
I have one.
Yeah, sure. You're Mikey's
Somewhere.
now.
Maybe I think I read something. The entire state is drought.
Yes. Only state in the West.
Only state in the West that doesn't
And
drought.
Rosa.
Yeah, so that's what was reported Mark months ago. I'm not sure.
Let's go.
Because January was like
He's doing sports. He's a meteorologist I follow. Like see him on my last week. He said, young man. Weather West.
Crazy. So, yeah, he's doing good sports, basketball.
No commentary.
Okay.
It's interesting because we have such a dry January.
I know.
But I was certain like to not.
That was January, we had rain all the way through the fifth of January, and then after that, we were dry.
Right, but isn't it? It's not the rain so much, it's the snowpack, right?
Yeah, so the snowpack melted. We got refreshed and then, yeah.
North of Tahoe, it's now above 100.
Okay, we're getting close to being.
No. Sorry, 7 tiers above 100. North of Tahoe is still low. So it's all good. It probably all melted in the storm.
Right.
I know, I don't
recognize
The prior one, the big one that dumped the avalanche and all that was cold.
Yeah.
I see. Now it's like it's not gonna rain for him. This is my first meeting.
Did you get hail?
Please myself.
So say that morning when you get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
75 a couple of years.
Is there a pathway across?
No, I've read
Yeah,
that. I was like,
the only thing would be a
when
visual thing for you?
Visual, yeah.
And there's already a fence right there.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. If you're facing it, it's on
She's like,
the
yeah,
right hand side.
Cool.
Existing fence for the other property.
For the other property.
That's right.
Yeah, I think
Can
the
you see
ones in
that?
the west.
Can you see that?
No, I can't see the ones from the west.
All right.
Sorry, I don't have a name tag.
Oh, God.
I think that's two.
Well, I've got two.
And that one.
Hey.
Okay, whatchamacallit?
Yeah, we should have that. We go to storm events all the time.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is quite a crowd. I don't know if we've ever seen a Waterways Advisory Committee with this many people, but it's 9 a.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order and so our recording secretary is
Jack for today.
okay, Jack Reynolds. We have quite a few here. So Jack, could you call the roll call?
Absolutely. Committee member Fagent,
Here.
committee member Liptak,
Here.
committee member Quant.
Here.
Committee member Rabinowitz.
Here.
Committee member Sanders.
Here.
Vice Chair C.
Here.
And Chair Dyke.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all committee members are present.
Okay, we'll move to item 2, a remote participation under Assembly Bill 2449. Is there remote participation for this meeting? Not for us, not for the committee members, so there is no remote participation for the meeting. We move to item 3, which is approval of the minutes, and I want to make a general comment. These minutes go back all the way to August of 2023. I'm not quite sure where we lost track of it. I'd like to probably go through each one individually because I noticed several mistakes. And I know, Vic, you have, and I don't know if anybody else has had a chance to read through these. So can we get the draft minutes up on the screen, or so I'd like to start with the oldest, August 24th, 2023.
I believe that we can, since they were attached to the agenda. Just give me one moment.
Okay. Yeah, right there. Well, I kind of working, so. Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, Chair.
Okay, so for the August 24, 2023, we have several members of this committee that were present at that time. Has anyone have any comments on the August 2023 minutes?
We can't really see it from back here anyway.
Okay,
There's a plus sign.
I mean, you're welcome to move up closer if you'd like, if you
There
need
we
to
go.
examine it.
That's an issue. Can we scroll down? Are
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
ready?
Let me know if you'd like me to go faster or slower.
Oh, yeah.
That one there for a moment.
Okay. Does anyone have any comments on the August 24, 2023 minutes?
Can I just ask a protocol question?
Sure.
So, why are we doing this? Did we never approve these? Is
That's
this
right.
just a matter of protocol?
Yeah,
Okay,
so we
thank
got to
you.
get them approved so we can get them into the record.
Thank you.
Right. And so I'd like to take these one at a time. And so because there are going to be some issues with the other ones. So I'd like to get a vote on the August 24, 2023. Could I get a motion to approve? I move approval.
Second.
Okay.
So I will say, we don't need motions and seconds for the approval of minutes. If no one has any changes to make, then we can submit the minutes as just approved as submitted. That way, we don't have to do votes on every single one. If we have issues with them that need to be changed, then we will approve the minutes as amended.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we have no issues,
That would
we
be
can
simpler.
do these as submitted.
Okay, so then I guess that this is gonna get confusing, but we are approving these minutes on the 24th of August, 2023 as written. Okay, good. So we're gonna move to the October 24, 2024. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And are there any comments?
Yes.
Please,
I think you are identified as Chair Dykey,
that's correct.
and you were acting in that role, but I think you were Vice Chair because Steve wasn't there.
Yeah, and I think that's correct. There's a couple spots where it should say vice chair, because when we move forward in the minutes, you'll see where we had the election in February 27, 2025. So on item 1 of the minutes, it needs to say vice chair. On item 5.1, also say vice chair. And the adjournment, vice chair. Does anyone else have any comments? Okay.
Would you
Then,
repeat those numbers, please?
I'm sorry.
Would you repeat those numbers, please, that you just said? Weren't you said, did you say February 20,
So-
February 21?
Yes, so I'll need some advice on this. I would like to get public comment, but once we've gone through this process and then we'll accept public comment, we're not going to accept public comment while the committee is.
I was just
reviewing.
asking you to repeat what you said because I couldn't hear you.
Okay. What I stated was that there are multiple sections that need to be corrected to only to add one word to chair, who should say vice chair. So that's 1, 5.1, and 8. Okay, so we've moved through 2 of these, so for that, as we've made the changes, Jack. Okay, so let's look at February 27, 2025. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? And are there any comments?
Yes.
Go ahead, Vic.
So that meeting began with Steve as chair and you as vice chair, and it messes things up. I think it's 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. You know, you have it annotated, so I'm bringing it up that it needs to say Chair Rabinowitz and Vice Chair Dykey until the election happens when you become chair.
Yes, and so
Thank
the only spot that I think needs to be changed is on 5.2, when I reported out on the public service class. So that should have vice chair in front of it. Once we went through 5.3, then I became chair and the rest of it is correct. Okay, are we all good then? Okay, all right, so that takes care of that. So then we move to April 23rd, 2025. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? And are there any?
Maybe
comments?
popped up, because I think I have.
As we go.
Oh, yeah, let's get it on the screen. Sorry, Jack.
No worries.
Vice Chair Rabinowitz is incorrect.
Okay, so we do have some, and again, the issues are with just the designations of the chair and vice chair. So on number one, the previous meeting, we showed that Vice Chair C was elected as a vice chair, and member Ravitch is a member. So we need to change Steve to member and absent
Vice Chair.
Vice
C.
Chair C. And then
3.1.
3.1, it should say Chair Dykey. And then, well, so this is where I believe it got confusing. So in 6.1, in the phase two, it showed that I left the meeting at 10:29. And so the meeting was then adjourned by member I'm messing up your last name.
Rabinowitz.
Rabinowitz.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, so here we didn't have a chair present and we didn't have a vice chair present. And so this should just be changed to member, and I think that corrects it. Okay, so that takes care of that. And we move to May 22nd, 2025. So has everyone had a chance to review these minutes? And
I didn't even see that one.
I did not review that one.
okay, Jack, can we pull that up?
And
This is the one that you were the chair.
Okay.
Because I was absent. Oh, okay.
Jack, can you scroll it?
Okay, any comments on the 5/22/2025 minutes? I don't have any myself. Okay, any other? So then, there's no changes to those minutes. Okay. Now I'm opening it up to public comment on item 3, which was review of draft minutes from August 2024, 23 to May 22nd, 2025. Any public comments? Seeing none, close public comment. And looks like Do you need to make a comment for the Zoom meeting?
We do not, because we do not have any remote participation from the board. We don't need any Zoom comment.
If, so just for clarification, so, remote participation, doesn't that only apply to the committee members?
Yes, if a committee member is participating remotely though, under Just Cause and under the Brown Act, then we
Yeah.
do need to open Zoom public comment, but we don't have anyone participating remotely from the committee, therefore we don't need to call public comment from the Zoom.
Okay, and still further clarification. So if the public is viewing this on Zoom right now,
Mhm.
they're not allowed to make a public comment?
No, they're not.
Okay, that's correct. Okay. Okay, then we will close out,
I want to make a public comment and I'm here, so I just don't want you to pass me up.
oh, so you want to make a public comment on the approval of the minutes?
No, not on the approval.
Okay, so
Thank you.
then I would ask if you would wait till that agenda item comes
Thank
up
you.
and then we'll call
It's
for a
very
public
confusing
comment.
today.
Okay, thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we move off of item 3 and we move to item 4, which is public comment on non-agenda items. And I'd like to read this. This is the time when any person may address matters not listed on the agenda, but which are within the subject matter of the jurisdiction of the Waterways Advisory Committee. The public may comment on agenda items when the item is called. Each speaker is allowed up to 3 minutes. So I'm opening up for non-agenda items for public comment.
Lot to say. Is it possible you can put this picture up on the screen?
We don't have the capabilities of.
Okay. All right. My name is Janice Carmen and I'm here to speak at the Waterways Committee board because I would like the board, and I can see that there's other confusions within, and this is not unusual to your board. It happens with a lot of the different boards. But I'm here to talk about the new approval of the Lagos frescoes, which was by these two ladies here. I believe Shaquille and Jessica Jones. And what I'm trying to find out is the last time I was at the Waterways meeting, which was the one I think must have been in May. I brought up something that a member actually asked to be removed from the board. And that was that I was talking about a illegal project by the city, and I'm not going to go into that. But this is across the street from the property I grew up on. And this is Lagos Frescas. It's a huge apartment building, over 50 apartments. And I'm not against the project, but I was married to the civil engineer that fixed the flooding on the street when I moved here in 1960. My family's had the property since 48, but we sold it. And I'm also in communication with the property owner now. And my problems with this is it's on a floodplain. The creek is running right now. It's within 100 feet of this project. And there's been nothing as far as any inception reports or anything that is prevailing as far as Waterways having anything to do with it. There's a huge culvert. The people are worried about the flooding over on the street already. And there's a lot of asphalt, a lot of concrete. And this is a project that should have Waterways looked at and should be included. And I've looked at all the papers. I've seen them at the city council meeting. I've been to all the meetings and it was approved. The ordinance was actually written for the approval before I don't know how many people, 75 people testified. And I want to know, this is my question, and I've made my statements, but this is my question, is at what point does Waterways actually get involved with these kinds of projects? Because this is important. And if you build on concrete and you add more asphalt, that's a problem. And already the driveways are a problem with this. They've had waivers where they could extend out to the street closer. Oliver's has been hit, Round Table's been hit. The apartment building on the corner of Wilson and College has now been hit. A person informed me last night. And this should not be acceptable. But I want to know, at what point does Waterways get involved? Because you should be involved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would just ask that you get with staff after the meeting to get more information.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Are there any other public comments on items not on the agenda? Okay, so then I'm gonna close out agenda item 4 for public comment for items not on the agenda and move to item 5, committee business. And this is where I read the role of our committee. The role of Waterways Advisory Committee is to review development projects, both public and private, that are located adjacent to creeks and waterways for consistency with the goals, policies, and regulations for creekside development identified in the Santa Rosa General Plan, zoning code, design guidelines, and citywide creek master plan. While the committee does not take formal action on projects, it does provide advisory comments to the decision-making body. All development projects located adjacent to a creek or waterway are required to be reviewed by the Waterways Advisory Committee prior to proceeding through the entitlement process. Okay, item 5.2, committee reports. This is where committee members can make reports to the committee. And so I'll look, although yeah, I was thinking that we'd want to do member introductions first before we do this. And so I'd like to do the member introductions first because we do have a new member. Drew, welcome. I understand you're from the Design Review Board. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your interests or expertise in, as I just read, the purpose in waterways and creeks?
I just served my first year on the Design Review now, Design Review and Historical Preservation Board, what it's called now, it's combined board now. And I was the lucky selection on that board to participate in this board. In practice, I'm a structural engineer that works in the city. And so my expertise or my background is in the general AEC industry, construction industry, and I try to use that experience to bring input to projects as part of the city.
All right, well, welcome. And I would like to welcome back Vic Liptak, who served before as a member. What board were you on?
The DRB.
The DRB.
Before
Yeah.
it became
And then
the DRBHP or DRHB, whatever.
Yeah.
and now you're back with the committee as an at-large member.
I am at large.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we welcome back, and everyone else is returning. And so I don't think there's any other introductions. Are there any reports that any of the members would like to make? Tara, anything? Carol? Steve? Steve? It's okay. Okay. So we're going to move to the chair election. So I'd like to see, we'll just do this briefly. If anybody would like to serve as the chair of the Waterways Advisory Committee. Seeing none, I would like to remain if you guys see so forth to do so. If so, then I need a nomination.
I'd be happy to nominate you.
Second.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So we'll need a vote.
All righty, committee member Fagent,
Yes.
all right, committee member Liptak,
Yes.
committee member Quant,
Yes.
committee member Rabinowitz,
Yes.
committee member Sanders.
Yes.
Vice Chair C,
Yes.
Chair Dyke.
I abstain.
All right, let the record reflect that the motion passes unanimously with the exception of one abstention.
Okay. All right, then we also need a vice chair. Kevin, you've served would you like to continue? to
I'd love
serve?
to continue.
Does anybody else and you would like to serve as the vice chair? Okay, well
Could
then,
you say your names, please? I can't see you.
I'm sorry.
Could you say your names when you talk to each other about who the vice chair and who the chair is?
Yeah,
I can't
this
see
is
the
vice chair
signs from
seat.
here.
Yeah, and you're welcome to move up closer if that helps. I don't see any reason why we can't move a chair,
Well,
not up to
usually
the
you
table, but
announce who it is,
Okay.
and that's why I'm saying,
well, this is Vice Chair Kevin C.
thank you.
Okay, I make the motion to for Vice Chair Kevin C to continue to serve as Vice Chair.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Absolutely. Committee member Fagent,
Here?
committee member Liptak.
Wait, is this a roll call or is this a vote?
It's a vote.
We're
It's a
voting,
vote.
just for clarification.
Sorry.
It's a roll call vote.
Yes. So we'll say committee member Fagent.
Here, or yes.
All right. Committee member Liptak.
Also, yes.
Committee member Quant.
Yes?
Committee member Rabinowitz. Committee member Sanders.
Yes.
Vice Chair C.
Abstain.
And Chair Dyke.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that this motion also passes unanimously with one abstention.
Okay, I'm surprised that you guys re-elected me after the way we went through all those minutes. I figured that was your opportunity to get rid of me.
Very thorough. Excellent.
Okay, we move on to department reports. And this time is reserved for city staff to provide a briefing on issues of interest. No action will be taken on these matters. Excuse me, I didn't ask for public comment on section 5.3. Is there any public comment for section 5.3, which was the election of the chair and vice chair and new member introductions?
Thank you.
Okay, so department reports. So no action will be taken on these matters except to possibly place a particular item on a future agenda item for consideration. And so up first, we have the Planning and Economic Development Department reports. Who's representing the Planning and Economic Development report? Okay,
I can do that, Chair Dyke. My name is Sheila Walski. I'm a senior planner with the Planning and Economic Development Department. Just a couple things I'd like to bring up in the advanced planning world. The South Santa Rosa specific plan is, they've kicked off engagement. They have an engagement advisory committee, and they're going through the options in the alternatives report to look at different scenarios for potential future development in that area. This plan does not include annexation. However, it is looking at close to 2,000 acres. Roughly along the Santa Rosa Avenue corridor and off to the east and west. Public workshops, if anyone's interested, are scheduled for March 4th at the Amarosa Academy and March 5th at Taylor Mountain Elementary School. And that will be to gather input from the community and any feedback on the alternatives. They're proposing to go to City Council on March 24th, 2026. And also, which may be of interest to Waterways Advisory Committee members, as you're probably aware, FEMA's been mapping Santa Rosa Creek and its tributaries. The last time this was presented to you was at your May 22nd, 2025 meeting. The phase of the project that we're in right now is the appeal period. It's a 90-day appeal period. It started January 20th and goes through April 20th. And this gives property owners an opportunity to appeal the data that FEMA came up with during their flood risk mapping project. And ultimately, they're looking at finalizing the maps in early spring of 2027. And that's all.
Can you repeat I'm sorry.
oh, please go ahead, Terry.
Can you repeat the appeal phase? Is 90 days starting when?
90 days began on January 20th of 2026 and will run through April 20th. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Are those appeals publicly, can we see those appeals online? I'd be interested in what kind of comments or what kind of concerns people have.
You can make a records request. We're not putting that information up on the website. These would be property owners who likely have hired a professional engineer to provide their own data that presumably refutes what
Okay.
FEMA has provided.
And to be clear, the appeals are going directly to FEMA. Is that right?
No, the way FEMA has it, their preference is that it goes to the city. We're actually not doing any review of it. We're just collecting appeals and comments. And at the end of that appeal period, forwarding to FEMA.
Okay. Any other, yes?
Yeah, so after this period of feedback from property owners, will this eventually be result in amendment of the citywide creek master plan? And if so, will we be involved in that process? I assume we would.
That I don't know. Really what this is saying is we're looking at flood risks throughout the city, which has never been done for Santa Rosa Creek and its tributaries. It has been done in a few very finite locations, but this is a much larger scale. So we'll get some sense it's likely, banks would overflow or there could be capacity issues, particularly in the downtown.
So I assume at some point we will review the results of the FEMA study.
Well, those are public right now. And what the city has done, it can be a little difficult to go to the FEMA website and find this information. So if you Google City of Santa Rosa FEMA mapping, you will come up with a dedicated project webpage. And if you're a property owner or a renter, all you need to do is put in your address and there will be a blue layer that shows if you're in the proposed special flood hazard area or if you're out. So we've been fielding questions for probably close to a year from interested community members.
So it wouldn't necessarily come to the committee? Is that what I'm hearing?
This will be presented. It's more of it's FEMA's process. So what they're going to do is probably do a final, maybe to council. It's really informative to the city because we don't have really any say in what FEMA does. This is their data. This is their process.
Excuse me.
Questions or comments?
I have one more. You had mentioned that outreach is going to happen on March 4th and 5th. This is the previous item you were talking about.
Yeah, the South Santa Rosa specific.
South Santa Rosa specific plan. The 5th at Taylor Mountain. What school is that? Where that's?
Taylor Mountain Elementary School.
Elementary. Gotcha.
May I suggest, could we, board members get an email with this information?
Sure.
And on the 4th, it was.
The 4th was at Amorosa Academy,
Thank you.
which I think is in Roseland.
Yep, it is.
I'm driven by there.
Thank you.
And yes, committee member Quant, you will be emailed this information.
The entire committee?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So is the South Santa Rosa plan, it's posted on our city website,
It
right?
is. There's a dedicated webpage for that as well. There's maps, there's a
Yeah.
timeline, there's ways to get involved.
Including the dates and.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, outstanding.
I'm sorry, one more question.
Of course.
Will those two outreach days, will they have childcare stuff available?
That's a good question. I don't know, but that'll be part of my email to all of you is what will that entail? Will there be food? I don't know.
Exactly. Okay, if you can let us know, that'd be great.
Sure.
Any other reports from planning?
No.
Okay, do we have representatives from the Santa Rosa Water Department? Okay, there you are. All right. Okay, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Could you introduce yourself and?
Good morning, Chair Dyke, members of the committee. My name is Kyle Sponberg. I'm an environmental specialist with our Stormwater and Creeks team in the Water Department. And to start off our department report, I just wanted to give a quick update on our creek stewardship program. It's been a while since we met, so we've benefited from another great year of the program and a very engaged and willing volunteer community that's done a lot to protect and clean up our creeks. Similar to last year's statistics, our program engaged with over 10,000 individuals last year, 8,000 of those being youth receiving some sort of watershed process education and pollution prevention outreach. We had over 130 volunteer cleanups, both organized and individuals that then report back their statistics to us. And all in all, we collected over 1,200 cubic yards of trash from the city's waterways. In addition to our upcoming first and third Saturday cleanup events that we host downtown every month, we do have 3 Earth Day creek cleanups that we'll be hosting on Saturday, April 25th. One will be downtown along the Prince Memorial Greenway. One will be out at Roseland off of Burbank Avenue. And the third will be along Brush Creek and Santa Rosa Creek at Flat Rock Park. And those are on the city's Earth Day website. You can scroll down and find information, all 3. And with that, I will pass it off to my fellow environmental specialist, Kellen, to give an update on Colgan Creek.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning, everyone. Like Kyle said, I'm an environmental specialist in the water department. My name's Kellen Johnston, and I'm going to give you a little update about the Lower Colgan Creek Restoration Project. I think most of you have heard about it. You haven't maybe because you're new here. Basically, it was a large-scale creek restoration project that's been in process since 1999 is when it first kind of started coming to the planning phase, and it's been done in 3 phases. So we just finished the 3rd and final phase. Basically, the creek was channelized first in the 1940s and then later in the 1970s. And we're now attempting to kind of unchannelize it, help it have meanders, habitat diversity, a larger floodplain, and in doing so, increase habitat while inviting in the public with a ADA accessible pathway along the side and a pedestrian bridge, and also reduce flood risk because it was undersized at a 25-year flood capacity. It's now at over 100-year flood capacity. So we just finished construction. Team Gelati did that over the summer. It was really successful. We basically got everything done construction-wise and are now in the planting phase. So we have about 9,000 native plants we're installing, plus about 2 acres of monarch butterfly habitat with milkweed and pollinator species. And then a future park is planned along the upper banks once it's finished. In a couple of years, they'll build that. So that's where we stand right now. Laguna Foundation's doing the planting. We have a couple of volunteer planting events coming up that you all may want to participate in or share the word about. It's March 21st and April 18th. They're really fun. There's coffee, there's pastries. You get to go plant plants and feel good about it and see this big project. It looks really cool right now, so it's something to see. Then we also have some other special parts of it that we haven't always done in other phases, but this is like the kind of central part of it where the park will be. So there's going to be about a 600-foot long mural. There's another smaller mural at the Dutton Meadow Bridge. There's interpretive signage, benches, shade trees, etc., to make it feel like a really nice space for people to use. And overall, we're feeling really excited to have it close to done, but we still have a lot of plants to get in the ground. Any questions?
Is that on the website as well?
There is a website for it. If you just Google Lower Colgan Creek Restoration Project, it'll probably be the first one that comes up.
Right faster.
The planting days are on there. You sign up through the Laguna Foundation. You can also just come. It's okay.
Question. I was looking at one of the projects of the Gold Ridge Resource Conservation District in doing some similar creek restoration. And it was fascinating to hear about how they spread out the floodplain and allow for small fish to have places to feed and get safety. They also are monitoring tagged fish. They have some things in place to do so. Do we do any of that in the Lower Colgan
Not
or
in
any of the
this
creeks?
stream. So in this stream, it's considered a more warm water stream. There are warm water springs upstream, Aquaform Springs. And so it feeds into salmonid bearing streams, which is typically what they would be monitoring. But it goes to the Laguna, down by the Laguna treatment plant, but it doesn't contain salmonids in itself. It's not considered cold enough. Who knows? Maybe with enough shade one day, it could. But for now, in its condition where it was a more open, small channel, it wasn't good enough habitat to support them. So far, that's not part of the plan.
Okay, great.
But smaller fish and northwestern pond turtle.
Any other questions? I'll get in a second.
Sure, yeah.
I don't have a question. I just want to say, I really appreciate the commitment of the city and your department for this Colgan Creek project. This is a major project for the city, and it takes an incredible amount of staff time, money, and perseverance.
Thank you.
To pull something like this off. This is big, 3 phases.
Yeah. And thanks to Steve, who's been here for all 3 phases and
Yeah.
been a little support for it.
So thank you to you all.
Yeah.
But also the creek cleanups. That's a fabulous program and really vital for the health of our creeks. And there are a couple of us who participate in these creek cleanups when we can on the first Saturday. And I must say, it feels good to get out there and actually do something to help.
Yeah.
And feel part of a community, making our creeks cleaner and look better and healthier. So thank you to your department.
Thank you for participating. We're only as strong as our volunteer corps, so we're very fortunate on that front.
On a follow-up to that, could you remind me in terms I can recognize how much 1,200 cubic yards of trash
We had this
is?
discussion a lot
I
last
know.
week. Well, for starters, a cubic yard is 3 feet by 3 by 3 feet. So it's a relatively large cube. A standard dumpster is 10-yard dumpster, so 120 dumpsters. School buses is what we were trying to calculate the other day, but school buses come in different shapes and sizes. So, roughly 12 to 15 school buses if you were to line them all up. One that resonated with me, it won't resonate with everybody, but you covered an entire football field with 6 inches of trash. That'd be the same thing. So it's a large volume. It's hard to picture.
Most people are gonna win.
6 inches across the entire football field of trash. So,
Including the sidelines or just the field?
probably just yeah, it's a large volume. It's a big effort. It's both our volunteer corps, it's our staff time, it's some of the organizations that we partner with and contract with. So it's a lot of trash. I'd love to see the number going down, but for now, we'll just keep pulling out as much as we can.
A follow-up on that, how is it faring year to year? Please.
It fluctuates. I was looking back on my notes from our meeting back in March a year ago, and the number was trending down. But there's so many different, factors that play into it. When we've had 2 amazing interns on our team consistently for the last couple of years, and we've seen the trash go up because we just had more staff time allocated to clean up. So it's hard to judge the entire city's, trash situation based on our numbers, but we're pretty consistent, right around 1,000 to 1,100 cubic yards a year. So last year was slightly higher than normal, which was a productive year for us.
So Terry, you had a.
She asked my question. Thank you for doing that.
Okay.
Then now my follow-up then do we see a trend of the type of trash that we're pulling out?
Yeah.
Is it mostly what? If you can even say.
We've done evaluations in the past. We haven't done one for a number of years. There's an upcoming permit change for our MS4 permit, which is the municipal separate storm and sewer system, that will be coming up. And I think our team will be doing a refreshed kind of evaluation of the type of trash pulling out. Right now, it's a mix. A lot of the stuff we do is bulky items from activities along the creeks, but obviously there's lots of small wrappers and bags and things as well. So it's a mixed bag.
Well, Gary pretty much asked my question, which was what are the major sources of all this trash?
It's a lot of activity along the creeks that then trash is just accumulated along and left oftentimes.
And well played by saying it was a mixed bag. That was
Yeah,
really well done.
I saw that.
Wait a second, any other comments from this side? Oh, go ahead, Carol.
So I don't know if Robert Ash has told you that he is cataloging what he picks up, how many cigarette butts he's picking. He's got somebody in the Olive Park district who is an Excel spreadsheet nerd.
Okay.
And they're literally, it's like you don't do enough already, but
Yeah.
he's monitoring what he picks up on Prince Memorial Greenway.
He shared his first month, January, with me, which I'm very excited about because he's been putting in a lot of effort, as many of you are aware. It was 40 hours or roughly 4 hours a day, and he's out there 5 days a week.
He's a volunteer for those who don't know.
But yes, I know it's a lot of extra work on his part, but it's invaluable for us to have that data because he is going through and breaking down what types of trash he's collecting. And we've had conservative estimates in the past for his efforts, so it's nice to actually have hard data to forward up.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was as the city boundaries grow, and I don't think they ever contract, but as the city boundaries grow, that will skew your numbers in one year to the next. Your watershed areas are pretty consistent. Maybe FEMA's gonna bump them a little bit. But as the city grows either south or west, we're gonna have more garbage because there's more city, and we need to be cognizant of that the bounce is not necessarily just because there's more garbage, that there's more Santa Rosa.
There's also minor changes in tracking. We do our best to track everything, but there are times when you go out there, you're doing something else, you see something, you grab some trash, you throw a couple bags in the garbage, and it doesn't always get recorded. We do our best, like I said, but over the years, different interns have been more engaged with our tracking spreadsheets or staff. And so there's minor variations there too that can kind of change it. But this year we have interns who are really good about both cleaning up and tracking it.
And I would imagine that the trash gets, I mean, this may seem like a really silly question because it sounds silly in my head, but the trash is there because someone literally is walking on the creek and throwing the trash on the creek. I mean, it's not like migrating from somewhere.
I wouldn't say it's one source.
Morphized
No,
and walks to the creek.
sometimes it's trash in the back of a pickup truck that gets blown out, enters the storm drain system and ends up in our creeks because the storm drain system is untreated and connected to the creeks. Now, not all of it is traveling through the storm drain system. That's
Well, like
why
a mattress wouldn't have traveled.
Yeah, but we pull out mattresses and things. So there's explicit kind of chronic dumping areas where people back up to the trailhead and dump out of the back of their truck. Some things will get dropped as people are recreating along it. Sometimes it's from, the unhoused community along the creeks, and sometimes it's coming off the streets. So it comes from everywhere.
Where are those dumping areas that you sort of the frequent flyer dumping areas?
All over. A lot of times it's on the outskirts of town. And we work very closely with the county water agency because a lot of these trails are their maintenance roads. So they have a security contractor that they work with to monitor and report. And then we will collaboratively work together to remove some of those.
And no cameras, I would imagine, in some of these places.
Only we've been working with, I guess it's technically an open investigation, so I won't say more, but sometimes we will work with environmental crimes if it's a chronic area and an issue. So we're working on one issue in particular that we've had a chronic dumping site. So if it gets bad enough, we do work with them to try and address the root cause.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Any other comments or questions? And I just have a couple. The bridge is phenomenal. I mean, it's really a gorgeous bridge. And then I don't live too far from there. And, one day the two house buildings were there and then it seemed like the next day they were gone. So that kind of happened really quickly. And I'm seeing a lot of activity more on it. It's very beautiful. And I'm also involved with some of the restoration out there with Steve, and there's something happening on Saturday, and I don't know if it's a private event with the Laguna Foundation or if it's open to the public.
I don't know if they're welcoming the public to that. My
Yeah.
understanding it's a board and staff tour for Laguna
Yeah.
Foundation. But I'm always happy to organize tours. I can talk about Colgan Creek forever. So if anybody wants a tour, or if we've talked about hosting a public tour probably next spring once things have started to grow in more.
Yeah.
So always happy to do tours.
That'd be nice. So the park is that funded?
Mostly. I believe that they're in the process right now of selecting a designer for the park, and then there will be a public input process for what the neighborhood and others want to see in that neighborhood park.
Yeah.
And then they'll start construction. I haven't heard any updates recently. Last I heard was construction was planned for 27, 28.
As your parks person, this is not forefront currently, and I wasn't aware it was even remotely fully funded.
Yeah, so it's It's partly funded. I don't know the status of it. It's a different
So
department.
maybe a bit of time before we see it.
Yeah, we have a working agreement with the Parks Department because we permitted the projects together. It saves a lot of money and time to permit both phases together. And the permits have an expiration date. You
Oh.
can do some extensions. So we've been working under the agreement with the parks
Yeah.
that it will happen within the term of that permit. And, lots of things are changing and happening in the parks, and we'll see what ends up happening there. I'm not sure yet.
So on Hurton Avenue, where we have construction going on for I think it's called the Hub. What's the connection like to the pathway for I guess that's the upper portion of.
So right now, Parks owns a piece of property up there that is in an alignment with a potential road extension that may or may not end up happening. We're not sure, but we're thinking that it makes more sense for Parks to own the property closer to the creek trail instead. And so our goal is to work with those developers to do kind of a land swap or whatever to be able to get the trail to go through to the Hearn Hub. That's the long-term
I see.
vision. But there's some work that has to be done with real properties and making sure that we actually have rights to that piece of land. And we think it's a win-win where the developer has a more continuous piece of land
Yeah.
and then we do too. So we're working on it, but there are many owners of that property there between the Hearn Hub and us. And so it'll just be a process of getting there.
All right. Thank you.
Art, a follow-up to
Yeah,
you.
please.
The last time I was out there was on our field trip.
Uh-huh.
Should I go out there now? Is
Yeah.
it substantially
Oh my
different than?
gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And cross the bridge. I mean, how long is it? Like,
160 feet,
yeah.
single
yeah,
span.
Yeah. And it's gorgeous.
Okay.
Yeah. And all the plantings that are there. And yeah, it's really, really nice.
Next time of year to see it.
And we're doing a lot of effort right now on really trying to steer it towards native plants. So we are doing a lot of weeding and then, just hand weeding all the seedlings that are coming up and everything. So I think we're going to end up with a really nice kind of meadow feel while our trees grow in.
Okay. If no other comments or questions for Santa Rosa Water, will move to Sonoma Water. Is any representative from Sonoma Water here today? No.
And
Okay.
then Chair Dykey, just a reminder, if we could get public comments on
Oh, yeah.
any of the planning or water department reports.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna do that after the whole department report, but yeah, so at this point, opening it up to public comment on any of the department reports.
Hello again.
Okay,
Janice
welcome.
Carmen. I just want to say thank you for your work. It sounds fantastic and I can't wait to see it myself. And I did happen to go to it's so upbeat. It's so nice to get upbeat reports, really. And that it sounds like funding is moving along, all of these things. I did go to a conference at the county. I forget when, I think it was about 5 weeks ago. And it was on water and it was an incredible afternoon, and they're really bringing the salmon back in the Russian River, and you probably all know that, but it was very impressive, and that was very upbeat. It was an afternoon of scientists that really had great things to say. So just keep up the good work. It's really nice to see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other public comment? Okay, so we'll close public comment on the department reports and move to item 7, which is the new regular meeting occurrence discussion. And who's going to take that?
I can speak to that, Chair Dykey. The city has a guide for advisory bodies, which this is one of them. And that actually says that this board should meet only as needed. I think during the early 2020s, when there were a lot of projects coming through, it just kind of evolved into regular meetings. However, we've ended up canceling, in some cases, 75% of meetings in a year. That actually, behind the scenes, that results in a lot of administrative staff time to cancel a meeting. So what we're proposing is to be in alignment with the guide for advisory bodies, meet only as needed, and then that will give this committee the opportunity to review projects as they come up. They don't have to wait a couple months potentially to get to the committee. We can schedule them as needed. But just to let you know, this won't come as a surprise, this as needed. You will get at least a month's notice so you can calendar a meeting and make it to that meeting.
And they'll occur on a certain date, a
I
day?
think we were thinking the third Thursday of a month, but only as needed. So we
Right.
don't have to go through a cancellation process.
No, I understand. So I'm just
Yeah.
thinking, so when do we meet now?
We've been, yeah.
The fourth. And so I would just want to know if that creates any conflict for any of the members on the committee, if we move from the fourth to the third.
Fourth is better for me, but that's just me.
Okay,
I'll come no matter what.
okay.
But I do wonder if and I'm supportive of having it as needed. I just want to make sure that the month is a good notice, but quorum is sometimes hard to get. And the thing I dislike the most is, now I chaired this group for many years, and worrying about quorum for each staff and for the committee is problematic. So the earlier we know, the better.
And yeah,
We're putting in a vote, would prefer the fourth Thursday as well.
is that something that's we can consider?
Is that problematic for the staff?
That I don't know. The issue is we have several boards and commissions meeting, and we've had to change some rooms for those. So for logistical operational purposes, it might be based on room availability. So we'll have to look into that, and then we can let you know. Did you have any
Yeah,
information?
if I could, sorry. Jessica Jones, Deputy Director of Planning. So yes, we have had a recent change in our zoning administrator calendared meetings that are now going to be going to the time. So we actually have a zoning administrator meeting that will be happening this morning. And we want to make sure that there isn't conflicts between this committee and that acting body, which is why we're moving it to this new date. So unfortunately, that's kind of the way we're working. If it doesn't work for a majority of the members, we can look at another alternative, but the time that you have normally been holding the meetings is not going to work for our other zoning administrator meeting that we've got.
I'm willing to go with the third Thursday. It's predictability. It's the hardest thing when you're on a board, and continuity of members too. But anyways, it's okay with me.
You'll be okay with it, Terry?
Sure.
Go ahead, Carol.
I just wanted to say in approving minutes, whoa, we haven't met since last May. That is startling, and I know we meet because of it's a as needed project basis, which I totally understand. But if we could get email updates, projects that you saw 3 months ago, there's actually been some movement. It keeps the Waterways ticker going to have some input, even if it's just an email. Now, I don't know how much time that consumes on staff, but we put energy into looking at projects and then never hear from them again. I personally would be, it would do me good to know that it wasn't see it once and it's gone, that here's the kind of movement. And even a simple email in those months that we didn't meet, if there was something that we might like to know about, I sure would appreciate.
Okay, great. Let me think about if there's a good way to do that. Maybe it's going to design review or use permit, something like that we could incorporate, but I'll think about that.
Also,
and I get why you want that. It's
go
sense of
check out,
completion.
this fence line has been built, this planting took place. I drive by Brookwood, the major medical complex that we spent lots of time on, and it's still just sitting there. I'd love to know what's going on.
And I think it would be helpful too, as you're doing drive-bys or have thoughts, you can always send those to me and I can specifically find out. And then I would include the rest of the board, just so everyone's aware of all the information. Sometimes it's difficult for us too. Once it goes out of the planning realm, it goes somewhere else. It goes to building, and that can take a while too, or it can be speedy. So,
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of things that keep changing as I'm listening to everybody because such great points have been brought up. But in the public comment earlier, Janice, you had asked when does the WAC weigh in on things? And it's really clear, required to be reviewed by the WAC prior to proceeding through the entitlement process. So that's clear. You know, I mean, if fences are going up and then we're driving past them, that's clearly not the case that it's coming prior. But in any event, that I mean, either that's real or it's not. The other thing, while I don't care about the third or the fourth Thursday, and I understand the move to as needed, perhaps there are, say, 2 standing meetings per year, at least 2 standing meetings, and then as needed. So that we at least get to touch base every 6 months or so. You know, and hear from, you know, the reports that we get from the city and then from the county, you know, city water, amazing. When we have county here, there's always information that if we have that ahead of time, we can start to filter it into the way we're thinking about waterways and advising on. So just a suggestion that there might be 2 standing meetings.
Something?
Okay, you comment from the newbie. One is, I highly recommend, or I highly support going to it as needed. As a working professional, it's extremely hard to hold a time, every month that doesn't happen. It's really hard to manage that. So I'd be much more willing to be flexible if we could, have a month in advance and work together. It doesn't have to be an exact date. The only problem with the third Thursday is that's the design review board meeting that evening. So it's just a lot. So I understand it's a space issue and, if we can work around that, that'd be great. And if we can't, then that's fine. But that would be my only problem with the third.
So we've seen a lot of changes to the advisory committee since I've been on it, and Steve was original with it and actually was part of authoring our creek master plan. It goes way back with this. We used to have city council members serve on this, and then we had a really hard time meeting quorum. It was problematic, and that was changed. We used to meet quarterly, and we found that, as Vic just talked about, we didn't want to be slowing down the entitlement process for like the project that we were looking at now. If it was going to have to wait 3 months before it would come to us, it was just stopped right there for our advisory comments. So that didn't seem to be. So then we started putting in these as needed meetings in between the quarters. And this was back when there were a lot of projects. Sometimes we had 2 or 3 projects that we were looking at. And so we had placeholders all the way through each month. And that's how my calendar is. I have a placeholder each month for this time, and then it gets canceled. I understand the staff effort that has to go through that. So, I support as needed, but I think we probably should have some type of like Vic, you said, a standing meeting, but I'd like to see us have the quarterly meetings. And then if it's absolutely necessary, then we, to keep a project moving, then we try to schedule a meeting, because we just don't want to get in the way of the entitlement process. And then we just see if we can actually get a quorum because people make plans. But if we have a quarterly meeting, then staff can work with that the applicants can work with that, and I think it might be better. So I don't know if quarterly is something that's possible or not, or if you just want to completely do away with regular scheduled meetings.
I think, and I get the reason why people want to get together, and but also we only come when we have a project, right? So
Well, that's not the case. We've come several times when we didn't have projects. To get I'm not sure what it was, but it could have been like the FEMA updates. We've gotten several.
Well, we
more-
consider those projects.
Oh, okay, well, we consider this fence project a project.
Right, no, those are advanced planning projects. So I think what's helpful is even though it's maybe less frequent, when we do have a project, then we can reach out to our partners in water and get their updates for
Yeah.
you too.
Yeah,
So that is the intent of that, is to, when we have projects, then we can schedule them. And then we don't have to go through all the process of canceling when we don't. So it's really, getting a project in, saying, oh, it needs to go to Waterways, and then scheduling it sooner than we've typically been able to.
yeah.
And then reaching out, so you kind of get, the fun stuff, the inspirational
All fun
things
stuff, by the
from to go along with the project information. So
Yeah.
that's the intent of just doing it as needed. But I also hear the desire to get more information. And I think if you can work with me on that, you mentioned the medical building at Brookwood, we can look into that information and send out an update. And then I hope everyone's signed up for City Connections and all those other ways to stay involved. That's a real quick way to find out what's going on in the city. But for project-specific ones, the evolution of a project, just reach out and we can look at where it's at and give you a little update on that, so you know what's happened to the project.
So our membership is 7, a quorum is 4, right? And so that's the minimum we would need to keep on things moving forward.
Mhm.
So I'm hearing our committee isn't necessarily in full support of 100% as needed, but I'm also hearing that due to staffing issues and the effort that goes into this, and like we haven't met since May, so in each month we send out a cancellation notice, so I understand that. And it seems that the third Thursday, if we can stay with the fourth, it's better. But we can do the third Thursday and keep that zoning administration conflict away.
We still do have the DRPB one, but given that this committee sometimes only meets 2 or 3 times a year when it's needed, there may not be much conflict.
Mhm. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to see how this goes and.
Yeah, we could
and-
revisit.
Yeah, and if it looks like we're a hindrance to the entitlement process because we can't make a quorum, then I think that's the time we have to revisit it.
Could I suggest, I don't even know if this is possible, could we have a trigger point if there hadn't been a project in, say, 6 months that would trigger just a general meeting so that it's been 9 months if it was May. That does seem too long to me. Do any boards have, what would a formal name for a trigger point meeting be?
That I don't know. Usually it's, we either meet monthly, quarterly, or as needed. I don't know what that would be called. I know what we're going with it. I think maybe it would be, this could give us an opportunity to see, does this work? And then look at it maybe a year from now and say, maybe we need to do another vote on how things are going and what the committee's interested in.
So the DRB and Preservation Board and the Planning Commission, those have regularly scheduled meetings
They do,
and they get canceled when there's no projects, right?
correct.
And what we do here is directly tied into that process. So is it possible that there could be a little bit of convergence with those meetings and ours when there needs to be something I don't know, I'm brainstorming here.
So what happens is when we get a project in, this body looks at projects that have creeks on them or adjacent to creeks. That's not going to be every project
Right.
in the city.
Right.
So once that comes in, a project like that, staff looks at it and says, okay, we need to go to the Waterways Advisory first, then we go here and there. At that point, based on the information we have and how soon staff reports can get ready, we would contact this committee and say, hey, this isn't as needed. We're looking at this Thursday, get the quorum check. And then that will help more easily move a project along when we have a project that needs to go to this advisory body.
So just throwing my little 2 cents into the hat. I mean, as it stands right now, we are meeting as needed. And our last need was May 22nd, 2025.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing this is doing by going to formalizing our as needed, language is that we're already doing that. What we're doing is with our new member whose name I can't remember. Drew, thank you, Drew, says that Drew and everyone else is able to free up that spot.
Yeah.
And not have to hold it for it to be canceled, which makes life so much easier. And I would imagine what I'm hearing is it makes staff's life a whole lot easier not to have to get into the canceling of meetings. If we look back at I think it was the April 23rd minutes, that when we did the tour of Colgan Creek, we got into an issue where the notification of the meeting was off.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't show up until
Yeah.
9, because you called me, you remember?
Yeah.
So we can free up all of that and go to as needed, which is in essence what we're already doing.
Yeah.
And then if I look at the statement of purpose, the statement of purpose is pretty clear. What would a standing quarterly meeting do to advance the language of our stated purpose, which is to glasses, please.
No.
To go located adjacent to creeks and waterways and consistent with the goals and further and further on. So I don't mind the concept of a quarterly meeting, but I would really want it to be very clear what we're doing. So we're not just meeting to meet, because if that's the case, we all come to my house and I have beer.
So I think we have our contingency. And I'm always harping, not in this meeting, about government efficiency and how we can better run our government, and we're part of that. And so what we're talking about is efficiency here. And so, and like you said, we haven't met since May, and we don't just need to meet. And so we're just gonna have to struggle to meet quorums, and hopefully everyone can understand that and realize that we have to, and to be a committee member, when these meetings come up, you have to do your best to prioritize this. And so that's what I would state to everybody. And so, Sheila, we're just gonna have to proceed with the city recommendations on this.
And I'm okay with that. It's kind of a dry spell, or whatever you'd call it, in terms of our meetings, but there may be a pickup of activity.
Yeah.
You never know when.
Yeah.
I would also add, though, that there are projects, even the word is not project, there are plans and policies that the city considers that do impact creeks, but are not development projects. For example, the FEMA study, and if it goes into a redo of the creek master plan, that would then I would think, our involvement. There's a study going on right now of a connection between the Prince Memorial Greenway and the Southeast Greenway. It's a federal grant. We had a presentation by the Active Transportation folks. Karina came here. She talked about it in general. Well, it's continuing, and my understanding is that there will be alternatives that are going to be created by the summer. Well, there is a possibility it could impact creeks, because a connectivity from Prince Greenway to Southeast Greenway, part of it could be on a creek. So if that is a consideration of the city in terms of alternatives, and one of the alternatives would involve creeks, I think it should come here too. So we would be informed and be able to comment. So there are potentially other things that go on that are not technically projects along creeks that perhaps would be of interest to us and might necessitate a meeting. So I'll leave it at that.
So on that point,
Or a Colgan Creek kind of restoration project, if there's one day another one, wouldn't that be lovely? But anyway, I would think involve us as well. So, anyway, sorry.
no, that's fine. So the citywide creek master plan, if you take a look at that, you'll see that it's way past its 5-year review point. And I've asked about this for several years, that we probably need to take another look at it and make sure it's up to date. I understand it's a huge undertaking to do that, but as Steve just pointed out, there may be some things in there that we need to make sure we're connecting. And there may be some things that have changed, and obviously with our restoration and different things have changed. FEMA map and so all that stuff goes into it. So I would just pose to you that at some point we consider seeing how we do an update on the creek master plan. So I think we've heard all our comments, and I think we've all our concerns. So I think what?
We should do a motion,
I can't hear
a
you.
motion and a vote on the meeting frequency.
Isn't there public comment on this?
Well,
Yeah, we can do that as well.
yeah, so we have a choice.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a discussion. I think we've laid out hopefully fairly well what we're trying to do and how we're trying to maximize our time and applicants' time to get here. And then also while we have projects, bring you other things that are related to creeks. Or in some cases, have meetings where we talk about FEMA flood study or Southeast Greenway, things like that. So yeah, I think we've had a lot of discussion. I don't know if people are ready to vote, but yeah.
Go ahead.
I do have one comment. It sounds to me, and this has always bothered me a little bit. It sounds like we're doing a little scope creep, which I think is good, actually, beyond what our statement of purpose is. Our statement of purpose is to review projects along the creeks, but we also come and we hear from the city, we hear from the county, we hear from staff, which is invaluable, in my opinion. But it seems like it's a little beyond our scope. And I've wondered if we should reconsider our scope and put that on the agenda of a future meeting. In other words, we have a lot of passion for creeks on this committee. Should we think about being more proactive potentially? How could we serve the city by thinking about things like connections to the south, to the Southeast Greenway? Or thinking about restoration projects, or daylighting the creek under City Hall and what that would do. It would change it seems like we've kind of been doing that informally, and we bring our passion about those projects to this group, but maybe is a little beyond our scope, which I would love to talk about that a little bit at a future meeting. And then that may inform how often we meet. Maybe it does become quarterly. I like the trigger point idea because I think going too long is unfortunate. So I guess what I would propose, if people are interested, is to have a little discussion about our purpose and should it be expanded a little bit? Can we serve the city? Can this passion serve the city beyond what we're doing currently?
So I'd like to just address that real quick, and then I want to keep the meeting moving forward. I would encourage all the committee members to open up the Creek Master Plan and take a look at that and review it. The purpose is stated in a paragraph, but the Creek Master Plan is way more than that. And it's a big volume. And so I would just encourage everyone to take our time when we don't have meetings to review it and become more expert with it, because the knowledge grows stale. We do need to get a motion on the table, and I'm going to make that motion, is that we move to as needed meetings for
Why don't we take
We're gonna do public comment first before that? Okay, public comment, any public comment on the new regular meeting occurrence discussion?
Janice Carmen. I think the creeks are extremely important, and not only the creeks that you see, but what runs underground. This is a very, I'm thinking intense, but the area is loaded with creeks that run underground. And I've been used to having an easement next to my house, and it wasn't until someone said to me, but we're Waterways. Is this near a waterway? I'm like, oh, yes, of course. It's a waterway. This runs alongside my house, and it's been there for 45 years. So I think that less than quarterly is not acceptable. I think you need to meet quarterly. The public can also have that in their mind. I'm sorry that some people feel that it might take up too much time. They might have to have a holding spot. You're on the board. You have a time. You have a commitment to the board. And I think that the commitment should be that you have quarterly meetings. And if there is this trigger point that's been brought up by one of the members, then the trigger point could also maybe spawn emails where you communicate more before you come to the meeting or something. But personally, I've followed water myself for many years, and I live in Rincon Valley. There are all kinds of underwater things there, and there are issues with the floodplains that are terrible. There was building behind Maria Carrillo, and one of the videos, I don't know if it's still available, but it was coming out like a waterfall from up in the Piedmont Hills there. And that should have never happened. But that's just one example. And I don't think that people necessarily learn. I go to all of the meetings I can attend. I've worked very hard at this for the last 9 months or so. And there is a real need for the city to build. And they are really pushing hard to try to do this. At the same time, they're also trying to match funds. I've been at meetings where creatively people have come up with wonderful ideas. And then somebody asks the question, is there funding for this? And they say no. That's troubling. So I hope that this board, as important as you are, meet quarterly, at least quarterly. And then if you have other things that you can meet for, that's fine, but it should be quarterly. Just to be a government participant and to keep track of what's going on. Oh, also, I have one more point, and that's climate. Victoria is on climate, and Carolyn Ben-Wellis is on climate. I'm talking about the climate board. This also has kind of an overlap with climate, because if we have horrible flooding and additional rains, all of these things could put us in emergency situations. And you are on a situation where you're saying emergency only or urgency only. No, I don't think that's acceptable. But thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other public comment? Close public comment, just one more time to the committee. Any other comments before we get a motion on the table? Then I'd like to make a motion that we move to as needed meetings, third, when they do occur, the third Thursday of the month, with the caveat that as much possible notice be given to committee members to arrange their schedule so we can achieve quorum. That's my motion.
Second.
We have a second. Jack, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. Committee member Fagent,
Yes.
committee member Liptak,
No.
committee member Quant,
Yes.
committee member Rabinowitz.
Yes.
Committee member Sanders,
Yes.
vice chair C,
Yes.
chair Dyke.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion passes with 6 yeses and 1 no.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna now move to scheduled items, and the applicants are here, is that correct? Thank you for sitting through all of this. It normally doesn't go this long, but we've had a lot of housekeeping to do up until this point, but thank you for your patience. Who will be presenting this for the city?
May I
Yes, sir.
comment first? I wonder, I did my ethics training. And I know that there's a certain distance from the projects,
Oh, yes.
a minimum distance required for objectivity. And the fact is, I can throw a rock and hit the back of the photonic building from my house because I live directly.
He doesn't throw rocks.
I don't. I haven't done it.
I'll be looking around.
And I don't
That's why
plan
they want the
to.
fence.
In fact, I'll be watching out for anybody who does. But given that I do live right across the street, I'm wondering if just for in the interest of complete objectivity and public trust and that sort of thing, if I should recuse myself from this discussion. I understand we're just an advisory board, so that's been a question. However, it was brought up in ethics training, so I would be happy to recuse myself if that
So
seems appropriate. All right, I'm getting nods.
No, you're getting stay nods.
Oh, you're getting
Yeah,
stays.
Vice
Oh.
Chair C, or the city's clerk mentioned at-large members are able to stay and do not need to recuse themselves. They're not held to that same.
well, hold on a second. So what if he worked, what's the name of your facility?
Sonoma Photonics.
Yeah, what if he worked for them? So there are going to be some incidents where an at-large member will need to recuse themselves.
That could be in this particular situation, the city clerk has said you are able to stay.
Right, so I just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
What's the difference between at-large and from a different board?
So at-large is mostly.
No, I know,
Oh,
but for this,
For this
Particular
purpose,
application.
Yeah.
what's the difference?
that's a good question. Always said, let me see. At large, not appointed by council. So if that helps,
we're appointed by council here.
So I can help with this one. So
Okay.
thank you.
any member who is on a board that is a decision-making body where this project would ultimately potentially go, then there would be a potential issue. But because the at-large community members are not on decision-making bodies, in this particular instance, as Sheila mentioned, it's not an issue. You know, if you worked for the company or something to that effect, that's something we would have to look at separately. But in this particular situation, so you can choose to recuse yourself if you feel it's important, but you are not required to.
Okay.
All right.
So I think I understand, since we have 4 at large and 3 that are members that come from other committees that are part of the decision-making process, which we are an advisory component. That's the differentiation right there for this situation. So Vice Chair C, what would you like to do?
I will choose to stay.
Okay, so we will move off of that, and who will be from the staff will be presenting?
City Planner Briscoe.
Okay. Do we have slides?
Yes, sir.
I don't. I don't.
Stage whisper.
It'd be hard to keep on this straight. I don't understand.
It is.
Good morning. The project in front of you today is North Point Fence Install, which requires a design review located at 1750 North Point Parkway. And the applicant is proposing to install a 6-foot better prism fence surrounding the rear parking area of the Sonoma Photonics business. The fence location is proposed within the 30-foot creek setback. And the blue line highlights the proposed location, and as you can see, the location abuts Roseland Creek. And again, well, not again, the general plan land use designation is Business Park, which is consistent with the zoning land use designation, Business Park. And here are existing conditions of the site. And the picture all the way to the left, you can see that the site abuts Roseland Creek, and there's really no clear line of what's public property and what's private property, which allows for trespassing. Here is a picture of the proposed fence, and the proposed fence has a transparent feature which allows for eyes on the creek. The yellow arrow indicates the top of bank, and the purple arrow indicates the proposed fence. And the next slide will show you how far the proposed fence is from the top of bank. As I said, the top of bank, the proposed fence is 6.5 feet away from the top of bank, as you can see in this elevation. And this project has been reviewed in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, and it is categorically exempt pursuant to Seeker Guidelines sections 15303E, since this is a construction of a small structure offense. Thus, the Planning and Economic Development Department requests that the Waterways Advisory Committee provide comments and direction on the fence install 1750 North Point Parkway. My contact information is at the bottom left of the screen should you have any questions. And the applicants are present should you have any questions for them as well.
Okay, before we proceed to questions from the committee, can you go back a couple slides? I want you to,
Which one?
well, just go that one, burst that one. So I don't understand the green fence. So that's not parallel to the creek. And so you're talking that green portion is the sides that are going north-south?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then go back to another slide where you had the arrows. What are you trying, because this is a revision. What are you trying to show with these or with a purple and yellow arrow?
The yellow arrow indicates the top of the bank, and the purple arrow indicates the location of the proposed fence.
Okay, all right, thank you. I just want to clarify that and open it up to questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick one. Top of bank means what?
That's determined by engineer, and I want to stop right now because I want to do some research before I answer that question.
We put up slide 4. My question is, this looks like it's the last property on the business park. What kind of fencing for the adjacent? I assume there's already pre-existing fencing on the adjacent. How your fence compares? Are we continuing on compatibility for pre-existing fence lines?
Yes, the battle prison fence is consistent with because that's one of the findings you have to make in our resolution, that it is consistent with the surrounding area, the development of the surrounding area. And yes, this is consistent with that.
Thank you.
Well, I think the question is the property to the east where the existing iron fence is there. And then how identical are those fences, the proposed fence and that one? That's the question.
So the one to the adjacent property?
Yeah, to the east.
Okay, can the applicant answer that question?
Sure. So the fence to the east is only about 4 feet tall. It sounds like it was grandfathered in or just kind of put up without a permit long ago or something like that. It's hidden mostly by hedges that have just kind of grown wild around it. So I can't really speak to how it's going to compare to ours. I mean, ours is going to be 6 feet, mostly transparent though. The other fence is black. It's got, I think it's 3/4 inch square rungs, but it's almost invisible. They've got shipping containers, cars and everything parked in front of it. It's also semi-obstructed by a lot of the creek foliage and trees and things like that. As far as to the west, there's nothing directly to the west of us but the old Santa Rosa runway for, I think it's 6 acres. And then company directly west of that does also have a fence that's going to look, that looks a lot like our proposed fence. And theirs is actually a lot closer to the creek and unobstructed in almost every way. I mean, you look at it every day.
Other questions? Drew?
Let's see, slide 6. That picture makes it look like there's a pretty big drop off.
That's not existing.
That's a stock image.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that doesn't look like the section. Okay, so is it good?
Example of what the fence will look like. It came from the fencing company.
Oh, okay, not
how it's
not an
is.
overlay on the.
No, yeah.
And it's not going to sit on the curb. It's going to be its own something concrete.
Can you put up that picture? Or,
The section? That's the section, that's the section. Yeah.
okay, so, Drew, the one on the left,
is the,
Yeah, so where will the proposed fence go in relationship to the concrete curb?
Sure. So it's going to be probably about 6 or 8 inches to the left of the concrete curb and maybe about 1.5 feet to the right of that redwood tree you see in the frame.
So that's I'm sorry, that's a narrow path.
Yeah, I wouldn't, a narrow part of the landscaping.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a walking path. It's just part of the
Go ahead, Drew.
my other question was, I think the application date for this fence was June 24th, 2024. Why are we just looking at this 2 years, almost 2 years later?
Because there was an issue with, I don't think an easement, but some engineering issues that the applicant had to get, some, a trust or something like that to, so engineer can review it and come and say like, okay, this fence would, excuse me. So that was a problem with the engineer review, and engineering found that I think that easement, and the applicant had to do some research to figure out, okay, who owns this easement, and that's why it took them some time to retrieve that, and now engineering completed that review, and now that's why we're for you today.
I have a vague recollection of reviewing this project before. Maybe it was another one on this street.
There's
but
been a lot.
It feels familiar. But when I was out there, I remarked, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the proposal is for putting the fence on the side of the trees that keeps the trees and the natural environment integrated. So it's really on the side of where the development exists. If you go to the parcel on the east, it seemed to me that it was the opposite, that the fence was on the creek side of the trees. And but I thought more about your proposal, and it makes sense to me to have the trees be part of the natural environment, not cut off by the fence, but there would be between the trees and the natural environment of the creek. So that's just my recollection. Does that feel?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Other questions?
I just wanted to mention that in the process for Drew's question, it took about a year just to.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, for Drew's question, it took about a year just to for us to find out exactly what we needed to do. And then it took about another year just to get the surveying. And then we had to go through the quitclaim deed process with our property owner. And because there was a thoroughway from the two buildings, the one to the east of us. And so then they wanted a quitclaim. So it was,
The first, who were you looking for approval in the first year? Is that you guys?
Yeah, yeah, we've been.
On who specifically?
Well, we wanted to go through the proper avenues and get a permit to do the fence. We're trying. We're learning, but it's been a curve. One of the things that we ran into was being that it's a shared easement with the building to the east and not like a public easement. I mean, they're private businesses, and it's just a trucking lane. We had to put through both landlords, it's called a quitclaim, just saying that there will be a time when these gates will be closed on our side, but it's only gonna be at night. The other buildings, they don't operate after hours. We operate 24/5. So they'll only be closed at night. And that's really just to keep out vehicle traffic, vagrants, theft, things like that. So it's taken a long time to get that taken care of, as well as the surveying. One of the things we learned that's really out of our control is being that our building was built back in the late 90s. It's in what's called legal nonconformance. It was built closer to the bank than it should have been. Kind of stinks, but having worked there a few years and watching the water rise, and when 2024 we had the 100-year flood, and seeing how it really didn't even get close to the top of the bank. I mean, it helps us in the long run. But getting all that analysis done and confirmed took a lot of time. That's where 2 years later, here we're at.
Other questions? Okay, so when I was there, I'm I'm looking at the existing fence and the symmetry with the proposed fence, and I measured that distance is gonna be 11 and a half feet. And so that gap in between the buildings where your north-south fence goes, over to there's 11 and a half feet, difference. I don't know what that means, but I noticed that. The redwood trees on your property appear to have irrigation. Is that irrigation that you provide?
It is off of our water, yeah. And in fact, I have no idea why it's still running. I mean, they're 40-foot redwood trees next to a creek. I don't think they need to be irrigated. Yeah, in fact, we've had to repair that line a couple times just because the roots are infiltrating and pushing and everything else. I mean, I have no problem cutting that out entirely.
How far does your property line extend past the curb?
It's, I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say it's somewhere around 37 to 45 inches.
So
Something
very
like
short. It's very close to that curb.
Very close, yeah.
And so your fence is how close to the property line? Is it nearly on it?
No, I would say it's probably 3 feet inside because it's only going to be about 1.5 feet off of the curb.
Yeah.
So maybe half, split the difference roughly.
Okay, and then, so you don't currently do any maintenance on any of the vegetation, specifically the redwoods or anything?
We have a landscaper, comes and cleans up the leaves and things like that, but yeah, the occasional branch trimming, but
How will they access that?
it'll be open. They can go, so if, Janet, if you could
From
scroll
the
back.
west and the east, they can come in?
Correct, there you go. So the actual gated portion, so our building, of course, is the one with the solar panels on it. If you're looking top to bottom, the corner of the building, the gates are going to go from the corner of the building itself on both sides just to the curb, or just outside the curb where the fence is going to be. It's going to be completely open on the west side to just walk around the fence, so they can get around it, even on the east side as well. Just kind of walk behind there. So it shouldn't be an access issue. At least twice a year, the city or county, whomever comes through with tractors and mows the whole area. A couple times a year, SAF crew comes through and picks up trash and things as well. So shouldn't have any impact.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. Again, no further questions, then, okay, then we'll move to comments. We'll start at this end, work our way down, and then end with me. What's that?
Are we doing public comment or?
We just did questions. We're gonna do comments, and we'll do public comments after our comments.
I don't really have any comments, Nate.
So
let's get a fence built.
Okay, so, Carol?
We had Canine Companions come with a fence project several years ago. And I also thank them. Thank you for doing the right thing. So many of the neighbors of Canine Companions, they just had their own little bootleg fence. And it was more challenging for the city to go say, you can't do this. We appreciate you doing the right thing. We appreciate you being part of the community rather than continuing to be a non-compliant building, which when it was built, it may not even have been within the city of Santa Rosa.
So,
So thank you for wanting to do the right thing.
I appreciate the design. The Eyes on the Creek idea is so important to this committee. We talk about it a lot. And I think this is a beautiful way to do that. So I appreciate that as much as I don't, psychically, I don't like another fence in our neighborhood, but that's totally jealous. Objectively, I support businesses being able to do this sort of thing and really appreciate where you've located it. The other side, next to the cement, not next to the trees, and because those trees are beautiful and really appreciated. So I think it's well done, and I have to raise my hand to support it, even though I don't really like. I really like the open feel now, and I can say you're a good neighbor for being open 24 hours a day.
Your best.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's it.
I'm next.
Yeah.
What about these
No,
guys?
good.
Yeah, I was a new member of this committee. My only comment, and again, it's coming from maybe someone that doesn't understand everything, and so I say this with humility, but my only comment is I'm a little bit disturbed about this process, how long it took for a business to build a fence. And this feels, from the outside as a newbie, very dysfunctional. And I mean, we shouldn't be surprised why a lot of businesses are incentivized not to follow the rules when it's this much effort to put in a fence. And we're trying to grow the city. We're trying, now I'm on my soapbox. We're trying to do things like this. This is disappointing to me as a member of the Santa Rosa, as a citizen of Santa Rosa, is that that this is this much effort to get to this point, this much time. That's my only comment.
But it sounds like you support
I do support the fence.
Thank you.
I support the fence too. I second really mostly everything that Kevin was saying, that it allows eyes on the creek in a thoughtful way. More to the, what is it, Beta Prism fence. I think they're it's not bad. Not bad. In favor. I'm in favor.
I support the proposal. I think the fence materials are appropriate, and the look with the fact that it's not a solid fence and the location, I'm supportive.
Okay. I'm supportive of the fence. I know it's needed for security and other reasons. It's actually a beautiful looking fence with high visibility. I was initially concerned about fencing out the redwoods, but now listening to the comments, I think it's more important that it's on the outside of the redwoods than the inside. I'm not too happy about the discontinuity with the location of the fences with the other property, but that's not your problem. And because of nonconformity and other issues over time, the other fence probably is too close. But it would be nice if there was continuity in it, but it's not really that important. So I also support the installation of the fence and hope you can get it installed as soon as possible. So
We never wanted it, by the way. It was out of necessity.
So before we make our final recommendation, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Welcome again.
Thank you. Janice Carmen. I want to say that I'm always jealous when I see a wrought iron fence. It looks so great. But I also wonder, and I'm just wondering, if you have an intention or what the rest of the property looks like of building another fence, and if you are prepared to have this fence merge with the other fence that you may be thinking about in the future. But I also back up Caroline and Drew for their comments about your fence. And I'm sorry to hear that it took you so long to do all of this, but I'm glad that you've done it, and I think it's great.
Okay, so
No intention of future fences.
One and done.
I'm gonna close the public comment on this item, and I want to try to summarize our recommendation. The Waterways, and correct me at any point where I'm wrong, but the Waterways Advisory Committee supports the proposed fence installation. We are encouraged by the visibility that fence provides and on the exact location with respect to the vegetation. And I think that's it. Anybody like to add anything, or does that capture us? Okay, Sheila, that's our advice from the advisory committee. Okay. So we're going to close out our scheduled item 8.1 and move to adjournment. It is 10:45 unless we have, okay, you have one last thing?
Yeah, excuse me. Sheila, can we make sure we all get your business card before we leave today? And also, since Kevin brought up, I live across the street. As a longtime resident of Santa Rosa, I'm very much aware of the potential old Adobe site project. And whenever I engage with people, I tell them, stay engaged. I was told by staff that if that project moves forward, it would come to Waterways first. I told people to sign up for notification for meetings. My question to you is, as a member of this advisory board, am I allowed to attend meetings? Should I steer up? There are private groups that are meeting. I somehow ended up on their mailing list. I am hesitant to even read the minutes to those meetings. As an advisory committee, where do we need to fall to be in compliance?
That's a question that we'll pose to our city clerk
Except if we have our
Or
deputy
Jess.
here.
So yeah, I can respond to that. So, yes, any member of this committee or any of the boards or commission that will ultimately be taking action on that project or any other similar project, you can attend any of these meetings. What you want to stay away from is any participation. If you do participate, then you would likely need to recuse yourself from any, even at the advisory body level. So, definitely come to the meetings, watch them. A lot of them are being broadcast on Zoom. It's advised to not participate.
Thank you.
That's a good question. Okay, back what time you got? 10:47?
Just hit 10:48.
10:48. The Waterways Advisory Committee is adjourned at 10:48. Thank you all.